Yes, it is the return of Super Cam. That's right. Superman is back. Cam
Yeah.
freaking Newton.
If you can't see Brett, he has a Steelers hoodie on while he's doing all this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I am the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll. Charles is always daydreaming, and we're two guys that like BSing at work. We were going to start the show with Odell Beckham going to the Rams. It was, big deal. We were debating on whether we should do this on Monday. We said, no. We got to watch the debut. We got to see what happens because if he goes off, it's crazy. But, he had he had 2 catches for 18 yards, whatever. So like, oh, damn, show's ruined. But wait a minute. That's not the only storyline that happened over the weekend. Because for you see, the Carolina Panthers season was dead in the water. They had nowhere to go. Their quarterback, Sam Darnold, was playing terrible. And then he got hurt. And they said, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? But then somebody said, wait a minute. Look, mommy, it's a bird. It's a plane. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh my God.
It's not anybody. Faster than a speeding bullet, can jump over high, tall buildings, stronger than a locomotive. Yes, it is the return of Super Cam. That's right. Superman is back. Cam freaking Newton.
If you can't see Brett, he has a Steelers hoodie on while he's doing all this, and he's acting out the Superman thing.
Back on the Panthers, where he should have never left.
Duh. After all your failures, where did it bring you back?
And now, not only did he come back, but unlike Odell, he had an immediate impact.
Yes, they brought him back on like the 1 yard line.
Well, don't ruin a good story with the facts. The point of the matter is this: first snap, touchdown.
Oh my!
Snap, touchdown. Understand that Cam Newton brought the swagger back to Carolina, and all is well. In Pantherland, they've won 2 straight after losing 5 straight after winning their first 3 games. So I don't know what the hell is going on with the Panthers. They seem to either just go on winning streaks or losing streaks. But sure enough, they're back at 5-5. If the playoffs were to start today, they are the 7th seed, so they're still in the playoffs as we speak. And once again, they have an easy schedule. They play Washington this week with no Chase Young.
Okay. You got to bring up PJ Walker. Like you got this.
I'm getting there. They have the Dolphins, and then they have the Falcons again. So that's their next 3. Those are all pretty winnable games if, once again, they could get some good quarterback play, because that's been the problem. If their quarterbacks just play decent, their defense has been good enough to win them games. If their quarterback plays horrible and they can't move the football at all, they are not winning. That's just that simple. And throughout the whole season, they've had a very easy schedule, and it doesn't seem to get much harder down the stretch. So this is a team that, once again, just like we were saying the first couple of weeks of the season, looks like a team that is at least a dark horse to make some noise in the playoffs. If Cam Newton can pick up the offense, we know he's going to bring the swagger back, but can he play well enough at the quarterback position? But yes, to your point, PJ Walker, go him, XFL.
Yeah, PJ Walker's the reason they actually won the game, offensively speaking.
Well, no, technically the defense is why they won the game. When you get 3 straight turnovers to start the game.
Well, Walker, because you read the 2 touchdowns, which was like what, 50% of all of Cam Newton's offensive plays.
Okay.
Walker completed 22 of 29 passes on 167 yards, and 10 of those completions went to McCaffrey, who finished with 161 total yards on 23 combined touches. So just saying, if you want to talk about the Panthers offense, maybe talk about the Panthers offense. Cam is a cool story. I agree with you wholeheartedly that why wasn't he just the Panther this whole time? But, you live and you learn, and where did all your failure bring you back to? It brought you back to Thanos, and there he is. He's back, Everyone seems excited. It's a weird spot if you're a Panthers fan because do you want your team to tank? What are you tanking for? It's not like
That's a good point that you made. And since we're bringing up memes, I do want to transition to this. There is the meme of the Panthers got a problem here because they pay Cam Newton. They're still paying Cam Newton's replacement. They're paying Cam Newton's replacement, and then they brought back Cam Newton to replace the guy that would replace their replacement for Cam Newton. So they're paying 3 quarterbacks right now.
Who was the first replacement?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, okay.
Well, they had to eat his money, even though he's in Denver. They still basically ate most of that contract. The 7 of the $9 million they owed him. Sam Darnold, they owe him $19 million for next year. Right now, they're paying Cam for a year's contract that's worth up to $10 million. So they have a lot of money built into this quarterback position, and they still don't have a long-term answer for Cam Newton. Because as much as I said Superman and everything like that, I don't know, and we'll see by the end of the season. I don't know if you can trust Cam at this stage of his career to continue to be your franchise guy going forward for a team that's looking to win the Super Bowl. Like this is, again, I keep saying this is not a team that's in rebuild mode anymore. They have a good defense. They have good weapons. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey being healthy makes that offense so much better. They do need an offensive line, but seriously, outside of offensive line and quarterback, obviously, this is a really good football team. And so it's interesting. I can't believe I'm saying this because you have all this money wrapped up in these quarterbacks. Again, Sam Darnold, you still owe him $19 million next year. They probably, unless Cam Newton just completely sucks the rest of the season, they'll probably bring him back. If you're the Panthers, do you take a chance on one of these quarterbacks in the first round, knowing that they're not going to play next year? You know what I mean? Like, we know that this isn't the greatest year for first round quarterbacks, but there's still a couple guys that have first round grades per se. Do you take a guy like a Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or whoever falls to you and say that's perfect? We draft him, we let him develop for a year or two while we still got all these other quarterbacks on the books. Let him develop, and then hopefully in a year or two, once all these contracts are off the books, maybe they're ready to play. I think that's the question of Carolina Panthers, who going into the season, that wasn't a question. Now it's a legit question because they need a quarterback.
I think it's a question in the sense that you need a quarterback because if you have 2 or 3 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. But that's a big question mark on the draft, man. Like when we don't have a consensus, oh yeah, he's the best quarterback in the draft. When you don't have names that are, for lack of a better term, household names, even among the hardcore bettors and hardcore football fans. Like there's no fervent fan reaction for this quarterback or that quarterback, which we've had pretty much every year. So it keeps in the back of my mind. I don't know, I forget which draft it was, but the Geno Smith draft was the last time I remember it like this. Maybe the Carson Wentz, Jared Goff draft. That was a weak quarterback draft. They kind of overachieved to where we were actually thinking they would be. Both of them, both Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, overachieved to how excited football fans were that year. So,
and I'm glad you said it because, yeah, that's probably the last really bad year for quarterbacks. And we saw how both of those teams ended up moving on from those quarterbacks this year, and they both traded up for quarterbacks. So I think teams realize, look, just because we need a quarterback, do not overspend for a quarterback if there's not a quarterback. So I don't think the Panthers would trade up to get a guy. But remember, even last year in the draft, there were rumors that saying, look, they were at least looking at Justin Fields at 9, even though they had Sam Darnold. So this is not even a question of just this year. They were at least thinking about it before this year. Like, hey, just in case this Sam Darnold thing doesn't work out, should we think about going with Justin Fields? And I think they made the right decision by saying, no, let's get our shutdown corner for the future. We just got to hope that this guy works out, and it hasn't worked out. But now that they know it's not working out, what do they do? Because again, I think they would only do it if the top 3 quarterbacks are still there. I don't think if the 4th or 5th guy is there, they would do it. But again, if a Kenny Pickett or a Matt Corral or Malik Willis is still there, you know, they might have to think about it.
I think every team that doesn't have a, without a doubt, franchise quarterback should always think about it. But that's about the extent, man. The Panthers, if they're as good as you think they are, drafting a questionable rookie isn't the answer. And if they are as good as you think they are, then Cam and or Sam should be able to turn into whatever game manager you need.
Right.
If Matt Rule's the coach, because
Right.
has all the things that Sam Darnold doesn't, all those intangible, air quotes, leadership intangibles that just come with Cam Newton. The locker room likes him. They're willing to go to bat for him, it seems like, from a fan perspective. So, and Sam has the upside. Sam is the one you can look at, and he has all the future still ahead of him, even though we kind of know what he is at this point. It's kind of sad that he's just known as inconsistent now. That's coming from somebody that thought the Jets had won the quarterback from the Giants comparison, because we thought we'd be comparing Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold for years to come. And now, you know, what a difference a year makes, right? But
I think also with this draft class, again, you know, we got to put things in hindsight. This is one of those draft classes. These are not guys that we think any of them are going to step in day one and be a franchise guy. But there are some guys that say, well, listen, if he does go to a team where he doesn't have to play right away and you could develop him, they could be good. And that's what I'm saying. If you get a top 3 quarterback in this class, a Matt Corral, who would probably fit Matt Rule's system really well. The more I watch Kenny Pickett, I really like Kenny Pickett. That's just me personally. I haven't even seen a second of Malik Willis, so I don't even know, but his name is still being thrown out there as a top 3 guy. But that's what I'm saying. Those top 3 guys, knowing
we're keeping it 100, you could have been making up all these names this whole time, and I would be still nodding my head like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's how I know about any of these.
You don't really pay attention until the draft is here, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is
not until March, bro. Not until March.
Right. No, and that makes sense. There's no point of being a maniac like me and, you know, killing myself thinking about it now. But I do think the Panthers are in a unique situation where whoever you draft is probably not going to start next year regardless. So knowing you have Sam Darnold on your books, you probably bring back Cam Newton. You can draft one of these dudes knowing that you're going to have a year of development without having to push them out there.
Yeah, but if you need O-line, you go O-line with the picks in the first 2 rounds. That's how
it's also a deep O-line draft. So you could technically make the case like, look, we'll go O-line 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, and we can still probably, you know, get the quality that we need to shore that lineup.
But this is one of the drafts where you go 1, 2. I don't even know if the Panthers have a 1st round pick.
No, they do. They don't have a 2nd round pick.
Okay, so 1st round, you got to go offensive line. Then there's a quarterback project you like in the 3rd round. Draft him in the 3rd round. Yeah. Like it's not you know, I don't get why you're going to waste a high pick on a team that you think only needs the most important, really. But you have to go offensive line. You have to. Like it's not a sexy pick, but it's the draft to do that.
They need to go offensive line. That's what I'm saying. With their quarterback situation right now, it is so dire that they might have to think about it. And, you know, which sucks because you were hoping that if you had your quarterback, you could just go O-line 1st round, O-line 3rd round and be good. But if you have to, again, this is not a great draft for quarterback. So if you don't even trust the guys in the 1st round, why would you even waste a pick on a 3rd round guy? I wouldn't even do it. But that's what I'm saying. In the 1st round, if one of those top guys are still there, you might have to think about it. Because again, you know you don't have to play him next year. You know, bring back Cam, bring back Sam. Hopefully they can be good enough to get you through a year. And then maybe your guy's ready by year 2. But you know,
But we didn't really get a chance to react last week to the Odell shit at all. And he didn't have a big game like you were not hoping for because you were going against him in fantasy. And I was just kind of hoping for it because the Niners are kind of like my love to hate NFC team. Like I never really cheer for them, but I want them to be good because I think that it's better for the league when they're good. The Rams weren't that impressive last night. They didn't look like the world beaters that talent-wise dictates they can be. But then again, it is a rivalry game, and the Niners need to win to stay alive in that division.
Well, really, the Rams haven't been good the last 2 weeks at all.
Yeah, but I don't want to overreact to 2 weeks because if they go off on a 3-week where they just destroy people, we're going to forget they lost 2 in a row. So I don't want to overreact to 2. Oh, they lost back-to-back games. They can lose next week and then win out, and then we'd be like, oh my God, they're probably going to win the entire thing. So I'm not really worried about the Rams. I see some people doing the doom and gloom stuff, like Odell already regrets signing with them and all that stuff. It was one rivalry game, one divisional game where we all know divisional games. You
Not
don't
only
sleep.
that, they lost Robert Woods, who's a huge part of their offense. Um, and actually, I think with that injury, and obviously that happened after Odell signed, it makes the Odell signing that much bigger. I thought I wasn't surprised he went to LA. I know we talked about the Ravens and the Steelers on this podcast, but part of that was just to be different from everybody else because everybody was saying the Rams and the Packers and the Chiefs
And the Niners.
Seattle.
He looked at pretty much a bunch of West Coast teams. He looked at Seattle. He looked at
Yeah.
the Niners.
But I mean, to me, Odell to the Rams was as surprising as LeBron to the Lakers. Because if you were really paying attention to the rumors, he's been linked to the Rams for years now. Yeah, he's got a house in LA. He loves the city of LA. He's a L, even though he's not from there. He's definitely like an LA type of guy. That's his vibe. And to be honest, that's the type of player he is. He needs to be in a major market like New York and like LA. So him going to the Rams to me was not surprising at all. I didn't think at the time it was the best place to go because I think he would have been just a guy in that system. But with Robert Woods out, now he's legit their number two, maybe depending on how they use him. Well, no, the way they use Cooper Kupp, he'll never be a number one, but he's going to be legit their number two for sure. So it turned out to be a good destination, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but we can't overreact to one game, especially the first game's a rivalry game like that. Right now, as we record, the Cardinals still sit on top of the West at 8-2. The Rams are 7-3. The 49ers are 4-5, and they're not dead yet. At 4-5, they're not dead yet. So you got to give them some kind of credit. And there we have the Seahawks at the basement of the West at 3-6. And for the first time in Russell Wilson's decade-long career, he got shut out 2 days ago, which is damn. That is the ghost of the Legion of Boom out there in Seattle. The glory days. It's far from Russell Wilson's fault that they're not as good as they used to be. I'm not even trying to make it sound like, oh, that's what you get for choosing the quarterback over the rest of the team, because it's not like that team would still be there right now. But wow, I just didn't think they would be the ones at the bottom a couple of weeks ago when we were doing the pretender-contender thing, which we should revisit soon, because a couple of our contenders look good. A couple of our contenders were definitely pretenders. And I don't know, man, like, this is one of those weeks where it's not like you said before we came on. It's a lot of stories going on right now. We are in the thick of the season, and the Titans are still top of the AFC. The Bucks just lost. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like anybody can win the chip this year in a way it hasn't felt in a very long time. Oh, and just to keep our consistency with our divisional favoritism on this pod, the Browns got their ass kicked by Bill Belichick and the Pats. What was it, 45-7?
Mm-hmm.
And Baker Mayfield, for another week where his defenders can try to sound smarter than everybody, and his haters can just sit back and say, all we did was game plan for him to beat us within the air. And for somebody that, as a Giants fan, has to always defend the 6th overall draft pick, when you draft the first quarterback overall in the draft, first pick overall in the draft, and he can't win you a game with his arm, stop giving us Giants fans shit for drafting a running back. Just saying, because you drafted a quarterback and apparently he can't throw you into a win. So that's my personal little bias when I hear
over guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah, Lamar Jackson, the other running back, you shouldn't take that high. That's won an MVP and is in the division with Baker Mayfield. You're right. Because running backs don't matter. That's why when the Browns lost their 2 running backs, they got their ass whipped like that.
Right. Although they are they lost to the Dolphins, and we said it last pod, this is a team that's always coming back this year. And we didn't know if it was luck or we didn't know if it was something that they were just that good. But I wasn't surprised by that. When you're always spending that energy to try to come back every single week, and then you got to turn around and do it again on a Thursday night, you're gonna have nights like that where you just don't have it. But I think the running backs injuries are starting to really wear off on them. They just released Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, it just happened today.
The defense is not what it used to be, and so this is a team that's literally every week is asking Lamar Jackson to just be MVP, and that's just not fair.
I mean, and he's in the running because as of this recording, the Ravens top of the North, 6-3. Your Steelers, which we'll get into in a second.
I'll get to in a second.
Quite interesting. At the second in the division, 5-3-1. And then you got the Bengals at 5-4, and then the Browns at 5-5. Once again, what a weird era of football we're in when we're giving shit to the Browns for being the bottom of the AFC North at 500. Like, it's not like they're trash. They're far from a trash team, but it's just what a weird season this is shaping out to be.
Yeah, and yeah, to your point, he has been MVP season. He was probably in the top 2 before Thursday, and he probably still is in the top 2 after this week because Tom Brady, who was also in the top 2, he had a bad game. So they're probably still right where they are in terms of MVP race. But again, that's just not fair. Football is a team game. I know we give all the quarterbacks all the love and praise as we should because they do so much. But when you can't defend and you don't have wide receivers, and now you don't even have the run game that you used to have, you can't ask one guy to basically just do everything. Like this every single time. Like I said, me and my dad looked at their record, like they could easily be like 2-7 right now.
But that's
like,
that's what makes it MVP. That's what me and you were discussing it. I don't even think it was on the pod. I think we were just talking about why I'd never considered Carson Wentz an MVP. Like, oh, well, he was that season. No, he wasn't, because the team was just as good without him. Like that's what the whole award is, most valuable player. And if you take Carson Wentz off the Eagles that year, they win the chip. You take Lamar Jackson off the Ravens this year, they're the Lions. Like, that's the difference. That's all I'm saying. Like, you replace Jameis Winston, who is good, with Tom Brady, who is that much better, and they won a chip. So that's the difference between MVP and just okay and good. Because people say, oh, Carson Wentz had that MVP season. Well, did he? Because when he went out, that team still won it all without him. The biggest games of the season he was not part of. So you can give him credit. He helped get him there, but that's not what an MVP is. And to my point, Lamar Jackson, if he's not the quarterback of the Ravens are with the Lions looking at looking at whatever they need, because they're going to be picking in the top 5. So that's the difference between what an MVP is.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
And the Ravens are the Ravens. They haven't sucked at all. It's a moot point. And props to the Steelers, because I thought this was going to be their worst season of the Mike Tomlin era, and here we are. The only reason you're not 6-3 is because there's a draw. How'd you draw? Can you explain this to me? I did not see this game.
Before I move on to the Steelers, because
no, I want to know. You're wearing your Steelers hoodie. So
before I put a last little bullet point on the Ravens, like I said last week, as many as the injuries as they have, they still got their main 3. They got their quarterback, they got their coach, and they got their kicker. And they believe in those 3 guys, and because of that, they will be in every single game that they play. It's a matter of, can they pull it out with a W or not. So and that's really what it comes down to. But again, you can't keep relying on Lamar Jackson and Justin Tucker to just win you games every single night, every single week with no help. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting race. The Steelers might have messed around and tied their last winnable game of the season. They have the hardest record in the NFL going forward. They had the 4th highest record in the NFL coming into Sunday. That's because they played the winless Lions. And guess what? The Lions are still winless, but we did not get the W. And here's the issue that I have. The Steelers need a fucking quarterback. Sorry, Dad, for cursing, but my God, Mason Rudolph is horrible. He's horrible. When I honestly would have the tie is better than the loss because that might actually help us going forward. I think we've actually won our division that way. A couple of years ago. We also lost our division a few years ago, back when we tied with the Browns week 1. I remember that. Had we just won that game, we would have won the division and made the playoffs. We ended up missing the playoffs. So the tie may help us, may not. When we heard that Ben Roethlisberger was out late Saturday night, I knew this was going to be bad. I said, damn, not this game. Like any other week, I would have been okay with it because it's a game we could lose anyway. Not against the Lions. We needed to win this game. And sure enough, Mason Rudolph, I mean, he's terrible. We had that game won 5 times. I just want people, I watched the game. We had the game won 5 consecutive drives. Yeah. First drive, Mason Rudolph on 3rd and 3. On 3rd and 3, had Deontay Johnson right there wide open. And for God knows, I don't know what reason, he launched it. Like just threw it as hard as he possibly could to a guy that was 5 yards in front of him. And so it was a drop pass, obviously, because he overthrew him, luckily wasn't intercepted. And had he just thrown it to him, not only would it have been a first down, he would have had way more room to run, and we would have been in field goal range. There's that. Another drive. Offense coordinator sucks too, by the way. My dad keeps saying this, and Sunday I was like, yeah, he sucks. We're throwing these damn deep balls all freaking game. And once again, we don't have a number 1 receiver. I've been saying it all year. We have 0 number 1 receivers. These guys aren't getting any separation on their 3rd string cornerbacks. This is the worst team in the league, in the Lions, with their 3rd string guys, because their 1st string guys were hurt. Yeah, their top two corners are hurt, by the way.
Yeah, Okuda's not there.
And I understand Chase Claypool didn't play. I don't care. The fact that our receivers could not even get separation down the field on their 3rd string corners is ridiculous. We finally connected on a deep ball. Finally. And even that was a contested catch. And I'll give it to him, a good throw by Mason Rudolph. And Deontay Johnson, in his excitement for finally making a big play, fumbles the football, not paying attention, holding the ball out loose, with knowing that there was nothing but lines around him. There was nothing but lines around him. He's still holding the ball like this, and somebody punches it out. That's the 2nd time we should have won the game. 3rd time, once again, it's 3rd and 3. Or 3rd and 5, I said, I'm thinking, and I'm like, yo, please just give it to Najee Harris. Please. He's the only person that we trust in this offense. What do? We throw it down the field. Pass interference, offensive pass interference. Now it's 3rd and long. Jesus Christ. 4th time, the 4th time we had the ball, both teams were like, yeah, let's just go to overtime. Like, just screw it. Let's just go to overtime because we don't trust our quarterback, and the Lions didn't trust Jared Goff, which is really telling about Jared Goff, who was a former number 1 overall pick. We get the ball in overtime, and once again, should have won the game. The game was won. 15 seconds left. We just need like 5 yards. That's it. We probably could have kicked it from where we were, but just to be safe, you just wanted 5 more yards so that you know for a fact that you're in Boswell's range. And this idiot throws a 2-yard pass to our tight end, who had 2 guys crashing down on him, and he gets tackled in bounds. Game over. Tie game. And I'm just like, dude, I just don't understand. Just throw it away at that point. You could have literally have thrown it away, got another playoff if you still really wanted those extra 3 to 5 yards. And we could have easily won the game because I'm sure Boswell would have drilled it. And it's things like that that kill us every single season. And it's not fair. It's not what we did wrong. But Mason Rudolph is just horrible. And then obviously Dwayne Haskins ain't much better because he can't even get the backup job. So the Steelers, if this is going to be Ben Roethlisberger's last year, they needed to use that money, and they probably got to sign a veteran. They can't draft a quarterback. You got to bring in a Mitch Trubisky, a Mariota, somebody like that to be your bridge guy. Like I was saying earlier in the year, I thought that was going to be Dwayne Haskins. It's not Dwayne Haskins. You got to bring in a veteran who you know can start, who you know could play, who could be your quarterback for the next 2 years as you continue to build up the O-line, continue to revamp on defense, because we're going to have to plug in some dudes on defense, and then go try to get your franchise guy. But it's just annoying that we have a backup quarterback that can't even beat the Lions at home. Like, really? And by the way, we don't even have the excuse of, oh well, he came in late. Ben hasn't been practicing the last couple of weeks because he has the minor injuries. So they're like, yo, the offense just, we'll see you on Sundays, which is why they didn't even detect the COVID until too late, because he didn't come until Saturday. So Mason Rudolph has been running with the first team all week, and yet you still are not good enough to beat the Lions, who have backups on their defense.
I'll stop hating on Big Ben, everybody, because the proof's in the pudding about how much better that team is with him. Like I was just saying to Brett before we started recording about how can we stop hating on Eli Manning, because we can see how trash these Giants teams have been, and it wasn't his fault, yada, yada, yada. And it's only fair for me to say that same thing about Big Ben, because when we see somebody that's obviously better than what was a top 10 pick essentially just 2 years ago is this bad against the worst team in the league this season. And the Lions are bad with injuries too. For all the props I give to the Ravens, the Lions are the reverse of that. They're suffering from injuries too. So no excuses when it comes to, we're missing somebody. Everybody's missing somebody right now.
Right, and you knew they were going to try to play hard, because, again, nobody wants to go 0-17.
The Lions have been playing hard all season. That's the saddest part about that team. That team has heart.
They just and you saw it even on Sunday. I said we could have won this game 5 times. They could have won it 5 times. Like, neither.
Did you guys fumble it twice in overtime?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Deontay fumble, and then technically the Pat Freiermuth fumble, but that was with 8 seconds left and whatever. But the point of the matter is, the Lions tried their hardest. They couldn't really do much. It's just this. You can't. That just can't happen when you have a hard schedule coming up. When you know that the odds are against you. This is not even with Big Ben. This offense isn't that good. Obviously, I think we would have moved the ball a lot. I mean, every time Mason Rudolph dropped back to pass, like, your heart, you just hold your breath. You really do, because every time he throws a pass, it's just, and his numbers weren't, well, they were terrible. He only threw for like 160 yards or some shit like that, and he had a pick and a touchdown. But every time he throws the ball, you just hold your breath, because it's like, oh my God, what is he going to do now? You have no confidence in him, none. And it's ironic. The 2 guys I trust on this team the most are our rookies. And my thing was, at the end of that game, we had great field position every single drive. I said, yo, bro, offensive coordinator, make this simple. Run it 2 times with Najee Harris. You're going to get either 3rd and short or 3rd and medium. And then on 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, play action and either throw it to 22 or throw it to 88. Those are 2 rookies. Those are the only 2 people I trust on this football team right now, because I got 18 that can't get open, and even when he catches the ball, I can't trust him not to fumble it. I got a quarterback who I damn sure don't trust. Without Juju and without Chase Claypool, we just don't have the weapons. We just don't have the weapons. And because Detroit's defense is so banged up, they couldn't really stop us running the football. Najee Harris was getting 3-4 yards a carry in that second half. So for me, it was like, yo, just run the ball on first down, run the ball second down. You're going to get 3rd and short, 3rd and medium at worst. And then when you need to throw it, nice, safe throws either to the running back out of the backfield or to the tight end who's right in front of you. And no, Mason, don't drill it to somebody who's literally 5 yards in front of you. That's all I wanted. That is all I wanted. But that's not what we did. We had him dropping back like he was Ben Roethlisberger and trusting him to make plays when he's garbage. He is absolutely garbage.
Feel a little better now, don't you?
Here's the funny thing about this now. Mike Tomlin could go 8-8 again now because we have a tie. So that's good. So we now gave ourselves a better chance of not having a losing season. And we probably won't have a losing season because now we just have to win 3 games out of our last 7. which we can do, I guess. Like, I'm sure we can ink out 3 wins. This is the Steelers. We're not going to back down. We're not going to just fold. But that was a game you had to win. That was probably the easiest game on your entire schedule all year. You got to win that game, man. That's 6 wins. You would have been in first place. And now, again, 3 wins get you 9. You might, even if you don't win the division, you would have probably definitely made the playoffs with that record. But it is what it is, and they're preparing for Mason to start again this week against the Chargers. And this was a game that was going to be hard before. If Mason Rudolph is playing, we have 0 chance.
All right, and right now, just talking about how crazy this draw is for the landscape of the playoffs in the AFC. The Bills are 6-3. The Pats are 6-4. The Ravens are 6-3. The Titans are 8-2. The Colts are 5-5. Something to keep an eye on. The Chiefs are 6-4. The Chargers are 5-4. The Raiders are 5-4. The Broncos are 5-5. So you didn't the Steelers did not push themselves up to be in the conversation with the Titans, the Ravens, the Pats, the Bills, and they're kind of going to be fighting with the rest of their division, the Bengals and the Browns, obviously. But you got the Colts, who are definitely trying to get one of those wild cards right now. You got them with the Chargers, who everyone is still kind of placing underneath the Chiefs out west. But here we have the Raiders and the Broncos right there with you with 5 wins. So you can't really count them out. I know I have the Broncos. Broncos is one of my pretenders. I did not think they were any type of team to beat, but here they are, 5-5 in the race for their division, just like anyone else, because the Chiefs have just decided to not be dominant at all and leave the West wide open. So,
yeah, and that's the problem. You're probably definitely in at least 2 teams from the West. You're probably getting 2 teams from the East because the way the Patriots are playing. I mean, that 7th wild card spot is going to be really hard, and you might mess around and have to win your division to make the playoffs. And again, you didn't lose, but not winning a game against the Lions when that's the only game that we're probably going to be favored in the rest of the year. That's a tough one to swallow, man. If you were going to tie, you got to do that against one of those other teams, the Chargers or something like that. I mean, you tying to the Lions is basically a loss, in my opinion.
If the playoffs happen today, I'm on NFL.com, so take it up with them if you don't like what I'm saying right now. The Titans are the 1 seed. The Bills are the 2 seed. The Ravens are the 3 seed. The Chiefs are the 4 seed. Then you got the Steelers, Pats, and Chargers.
Yeah.
Which, I don't think anybody feels that safe at all playing any of those teams at any point against each other in any round. That's how open it is right now for the AFC. Then on the bubble, the Bengals, Raiders, Colts, Browns, Broncos, Dolphins. I don't know how the Dolphins are there, but playoff math with all the weeks left. So,
yeah, I mean, it's weird. And the Steelers are interesting because I have here, not just with the Lions, but I have here, did they make a mistake in drafting Pat Freiermuth over Creed?
Hold on real quick, because what we were just saying before about your Panthers. How do you think the NFC looks right now if the playoffs happen today?
Oh, no, I said it earlier. Right now, they're the 7th seed.
Yeah, but the 4 teams alone are just kind of like, huh? Because right now it would go be the Packers with the number 1 seed, the Cards with the number 2 seed, the goddamn Cowboys with the 3rd seed, and then you got the Bucks rounding out at 4 with the Rams, Saints, and Panthers. Like the Panthers, the obvious weak link among those teams, but it's not like anybody like nobody wants to go to New Orleans. So thank God they're going to be a wild card in this scenario. But and then you got the Vikings, Niners, and Falcons again. The math,
and again, that's why Cam Newton is so big if he can play well, because again, they have still a pretty easy schedule. If they can rack up, and they've had a easy schedule. Like those 5 losses were so disappointing because a lot of those teams, like I scheduled those as wins. I remember I said on the pod, like, yo, really, if they play well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers were 8-0. That's how easy. That's not just because I thought they were a good team. That's how easy their schedule was. That I was like, wait, they could easily be 8-1, 6-2 at the worst. Instead, they're 5-5 right now because they got 0 out of their quarterback play for the last month and a half. So if Cam Newton can rejuvenate this offense, and they don't have to be a top flight offense with this defense, they just have to be a middle of the pack offense. And they should be able to beat these bad teams that are on their schedule. It's just that simple.
And
it's literally just that simple.
And what trade draft mistake were you alluding to? Sorry for cutting you off.
So, no, thank you. So here's the thing. As you know, I've been very upset with the Steelers draft this past offseason, although I will say our rookies have been playing well for the most part. Pat Freiermuth, speaking of, won us our last 2 games against the Browns and against the Bears. He's been amazing. He has been this generation's Heath Miller, as they've projected him to be. But Creed Humphrey, the center for the Kansas City Chiefs, according to, I believe, Pro Football Focus, is the #1 center in the league right now. And for a team whose offensive line is still an issue, and the one rookie who hasn't really been playing well, and our 3rd-round center, Green, it is something that if you're a Steelers fan, you got to go back and say, dang, as good as Pat Freiermuth is, and as well as he's been playing, wouldn't it have still been better to take the center in the 2nd round? Because he was available in the 2nd round. Just for context sake, we took Pat Freiermuth with the 55th pick overall in the second round. The Chiefs, I don't know how Creed Humphrey fell this far, but Creed Humphrey was literally the last pick in the 2nd round by the Kansas City Chiefs. I wanted Creed Humphrey in the 1st round. They got Najee Harris. I knew they were going to take Najee Harris. I'm okay with Najee Harris, and Najee Harris has been balling, so fine. And so has Pat Freiermuth. But this was a weird year for tight ends. Really weird, because one, you had a tight end go 4 overall. You never see that happen. You probably will never see that again, that a tight end is that highly touted that he's a top 5 pick in Kyle Pitts. But then the rest of the tight end class was kind of just muddled. There wasn't no clear-cut there wasn't any clear-cut second guy or even 3rd guy. It really was how you wanted your tight end. So when I looked at it, I looked at the draft order again. We drafted Kenyon Green, our center, with the 87th pick. But at 83, the Dolphins took Hunter Long, the tight end from Boston College. And at 81, Dolphins took him. And at 83, my Panthers took Tommy Tremble, the tight end out of Notre Dame. And I'm looking back at this draft, and I'm saying to myself, man, I think I would have taken the gamble that Pat Freiermuth falls to us in the 3rd round. Because the way that he's used, I think we would have liked Pat Freiermuth more than other teams in terms of what even teams that drafted a tight end. So if I was the Steelers and I had to go back, I might have still taken Creed Humphrey in the 3rd round, in the 2nd round, and just pray that Pat Freiermuth fell to the 3rd round. Because like I said, he has been balling. So I don't want to cast aspersions on Pat Freiermuth. They love him in Pittsburgh, as they should. He's a Steeler type of player, and he's been actually even better than what they thought he was. But as a team that drafted Maurkice Pouncey, who Maurkice Pouncey was, for the first 3-4 years of his career, was hands down the best center in the league, I still believe if he was healthy, we would have won that Super Bowl against the Packers. He got hurt in the AFC Championship game. And our backup center was sucked in that Super Bowl. Matter of fact, cost us 2 straight turnovers. And again, we lost by less than a touchdown. So you do the math on that. So as a team that's done that and had Maurkice Pouncey for the last decade, I'm surprised that they passed up on a guy like Creed Humphrey. I really am. And I'm looking at them. I'm saying,
you are the biggest Steeler fan this episode, because you're trying to find it's a real X's and O's problem and issue you have. I'm not saying that. It's an interesting thought because it's your 2nd round pick, because you like Najee. Everyone likes Najee. But this is one of those, you can't do this because it has such a butterfly effect on everything else. So if you like your 3rd round pick or your 4th round pick, yada, 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 changing the 2nd round pick changes the dynamic of the rest of your draft and everyone else's draft. So just saying that, for your own peace of mind in the situation. But that's what I'm saying. Even losing, like there's no way anyone thinks that the center that goes at the end of the second round is going to be one of the better rookie offensive linemen, period. You hope that that's true, but you can't predict that.
Creed Humphrey had a first round grade. I was to be very honest with you, I really wanted us to, you know me, I was like, look, we need an offensive line more than a running back. I wanted us to take him in the first round. We didn't. We took Najee. And when he was still available in the second round, I was jumping for joy. I'm so, oh my God, we're going to get him in the second round. This is perfect. We got our running back and our center. And we took Pat Freiermuth. And I'm like, what the heck are we taking a tight end in the second round for when we need offensive linemen? And it's not like Pat Freiermuth was a blocking tight end. He literally was not even a receiving tight end. He was a red zone tight end. He's just a guy that's just supposed to put it in the red zone, throw it to him in the red zone. He's going to catch touchdown passes for you. That was his grade. That's what he was. And again, that's what I'm saying. It was very specific on the type of team that could have used a guy like that. Hunter Long was a guy that was supposed to be more of a receiving tight end from Boston College, which is why it's not surprising that he was the next tight end taken. So it's weird that it worked out like that. And you're right. It is a butterfly effect because who knows, somebody that might not have taken a tight end would have taken him. They might have liked Pat Freiermuth if that was the case. So it's just weird. It's just weird. But Pat Freiermuth looks like he's going to be a great tight end for us. Again, like Keith Miller, he might make a Pro Bowl every now and then. But I don't think he's ever going to be like, the best tight end in football. And so it's like, okay, was that worth not taking your center for the next decade?
I guess that's a good point because you guys, coming from a fan of a team that doesn't know how to draft O-line, this is just something I've done every single year, since the Giants last won a Super Bowl. So that's a decade, people. And I'm not even joking. Like, this is a game I have done every year with other Giants fans. And it's futile, however you want to say it. It's just one of those empty feelings because there's a hole. You're like, oh, we could have filled this hole, but it's the game of hindsight and retrospect.
Well, yeah, and my thing is, I was saying at the time, not even hindsight, and the fact that that little nugget came out. Oh yeah, by the way, do you know that Creed Humphrey is the number one center in the league? Not rookie center, the number one center, period, in all of football right now. And I'm like, great. And I said that coming off of Pat Freiermuth literally winning our last two games. He's been phenomenal the last couple of weeks. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not even hating on Pat Freiermuth. Like I said, I'm hoping to go back in time and manipulate the timeline where I could get both. Where it's like, look, I'm gonna take Creed in the second and hope that Pat falls to us in the third. Because if that happens, I'm a very happy kid right now. But that's what I'm saying. It's just such a hard game to play when you're doing this draft stuff, man. And again, Kenyon Green, he's been all right. Our fourth round offensive tackle has been all right. But Najee and Pat have been, they've come as advertised. So it's one of those, I'm not even hating on them. I just wish we could have got them and the offensive lineman that we still desperately need. So
before we call it a pod today, there's one more question you wanted to pose, and we're switching back to your other team apparently. What's next for Sam Darnold? Because you started off with Cam, you're excited. We're both Cam Newton fans, apart from Panthers stuff. But what's next for Sam? And honestly, that's why I kind of alluded to Daniel Jones earlier. It's a very honest answer for me of who effing knows? Because
no, the answer we do know. Sam Darnold's done. His career is over. He's done. As a starter, he's done. His career is over.
Wow.
His career, here's the thing. And again, that's why it hurts me even with Dwayne Haskins, because it's like, yo, y'all got to understand, man, you'll get a second chance. You're not going to get a third, bro. You're not going to get a third.
And with Haskins, it's crazier because he's in a situation that everybody that is a Steelers, you have literally Steelers Cup at your set because I'm saying this. Who doesn't want to see him be successful? Like, if you're a Steelers fan and you pick up Dwayne Haskins, you're trying to ignore all the dumb shit he did in 2020 and hoping that he's going to be everything he was for the Ohio State Buckeyes, breaking conference records level talent. And he's not there. Like, you're no fan of Ohio State quarterbacks, but you will admit when the dude in Chicago is doing good. You know what I mean? And I say it like that because he's been a better prospect than Haskins was for the football team in Washington. And as somebody that was mad my Giants didn't draft him, like Dwayne Haskins, I mean.
Right.
To see that you're coming on here in another pod, another time where you're just a fan and you're mad at Mason Rudolph. It's like, wait, didn't you sign Dwayne Haskins? And you're like, yeah, we did. Why did Dwayne Haskins beat out Joe Burrow in college?
Right. And he
so for everybody out there that thinks that you peak in high school or college, remember that Joe Burrow got beat out by Dwayne Haskins. And not only did he say, not only can I start, Joe Burrow legit turned on something in his head and said, I'm gonna prove to everybody I'm the best. Not only can I start, but I'm the best. And then you see have somebody like Dwayne Haskins, the second, he wasn't just the naturally the best gifted athlete on the field. He just stopped trying. He didn't want to take that next step. I give Big Ben so much shit. That dude at least adjusts. I'll give him that. You could see him adjusting in the game, let alone over weeks. You see him adjust in game to shit.
It's sad because these are young quarterbacks that we're talking about. Remember, Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, so and yet their career
25, 24.
I think he's still like 23, 24. He's that young. And that's what I'm saying. We're saying this as fans. Like, again, as much as I love Cam Newton, I was on this pod raving about Sam Darnold even last year. Like, and it's sad that you see young guys, because my thing is, look, I'm not a hater. I don't know these guys from a can of paint. You know what I mean? Unless I learn for a fact that you like do wicked shit, I'm gonna root for everybody, right? It's sad to see young guys out of the league this fast, but this is a message to all people listening to this and watching this, like not just in the NFL, but in life, bro. Like, people aren't going to wait for you to figure it out. You either figure it out or you don't, and they will find somebody else who will. It's just that simple. Sam Darnold.
Actually, it seems like the league, or at least the quarterback position, has caught up to everyone else, because that's been true for every other position besides quarterback. Quarterback was always the one that got more time than everyone else to develop and just ease into being a leader and being a field general and all these other bullshit rhetoric that we apply to that position. Because me and you have talked about it a bunch of times as fans, that there are leaders at other positions. There are MVPs at other positions. There are playmakers at other positions. And it doesn't, but if you're a wide receiver and you're drafted in the top 10 and you suck for 3 years, you're gone.
You're gone. You're gone.
You don't get 3, 4, 5 other chances to be the number one star receiver on a team.
And that's the thing. And especially what's happening now is because there's so many, because of the new rule changes and because so many teams are using college-like systems, they don't gotta wait for you and hope that you get it. If you don't get it, we'll just find another dude. And so it's sad to see these young guys coming in and not taking advantage of. Sam Darnold had a golden opportunity. Again, this Panthers team has weapons. You cannot tell me DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson aren't weapons. Then they drafted him, Terrence Marshall Jr., and drafted Chuba Hubbard, and they have Christian McCaffrey. And I understand Christian McCaffrey's been hurt, but that's no excuse for the fact that once Christian McCaffrey is not in the lineup, this team can't even get first downs. Forget scoring points. This team can't even get first downs without Christian McCaffrey, which is why he keeps getting hurt, because they need to use him 95% of their snaps. Like you can't do that. You cannot do that. And so as a guy who has been rooting for Sam Darnold, even rooting for when he was a Jet, because again, I understand how bad the Jets are. And it's so sad to see somebody subjected to that bullshit that goes on in fucking MetLife. But that he ruined. Now I can't even say anything about this, Sam. Like, you ruined your opportunity. You won't get no one. Can he be a backup somewhere? Of course, he can get a job as a backup somewhere. Colt McCoy just played for the Cardinals, and he's so bad. The Panthers look like freaking juggernauts because he couldn't hold on to the ball, was making terrible decisions, and he's like a freaking 10th year rookie at this. 10th year veteran.
No, he's a vet, and he played started a couple of games for the Giants, and he wasn't a bad starter for the Giants as far as backups go.
Right. So
that's just like, it's funny because Colt McCoy sounds like an insult, but props to Colt McCoy. Dude
No,
got
that's what I'm saying. Sam Darnold could still make a 10-year career out of being a backup in the NFL, but his days of but at the end of the day, he's going to be considered a certified bust, and he is his days of being a starting quarterback in this league are over. I really believe that. And
how do you feel though? Because you're saying Sam's a certified bust. You were on the build around Sam train going into the draft, not draft Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson is looking like a bust. If we're going to have to lean towards he's looking like the hype or looking like the bust, we have to have one of those extremes 10 weeks into the rookie year.
He definitely, especially when Mike White, I mean, before Sunday, we do freaking 20 picks. But before last Sunday, I mean, especially when you got another rookie coming in and looking better than you with that same team, Zach Wilson's not looking the part. And by the way, Jets, once again, know your personnel. You're sitting here taking a kid from BYU, who's from a small town, lived in a small town, grew up in a small town, played at a small town school, and you're putting him in New York. That's just not smart. It's just not. It's just not. And I guess a lot of this is just like use your comments. Even if you think he has all the physical tools, bro, this is a kid who even at the draft room, there was that meme where he's like looking around at everybody else and it's like, oh wow, we're not in Montana anymore. No shit.
Utah.
Who gives a fuck? Montana, Utah. But I'm sorry to our one listener out there. I'm sorry. Please still follow us. But
please still follow us.
But like this, like but that's a big deal. You can't just expect a guy like that to not only just come into New York, but come into a team that is desperate for a quarterback, desperate to turn their fortunes around. That's a lot to ask for. Even with Sam Darnold, even with Josh Rosen, what I say, don't take stop taking these California kids and putting them in these Northeast cities with no dome. That don't make no sense. Oh, well, I'm surprised they can't play well. Are you surprised? They grew up in Southern Cal, played in Southern Cal. Probably the coldest they've been in is a 60-degree game
like a 40-degree dry night out
in Santa Monica, and now you want to expect them to play in a blizzard in freaking
Green Bay.
Yeah, like come on, man. Like what are we talking about? Don't do that. And even a guy like Tom Brady, he at least played college at Michigan. So he's used to it. You guys are taking dudes that have played from peewee ball all the way to college in sunny Southern
One of the only dudes to break that mold is Aaron Rodgers. Because I remember when the Packers and Niners, this is probably 10 years ago.
But even he's a Northern Cali guy, so it gets a little bit colder there. That's what I'm saying.
But that's the only example you have is because Aaron Rodgers plays in Green Bay, right? And sometime in the last 10 years, closer to 10 years ago, when it was the Niners versus the Packers, and it was Kaepernick versus Rodgers. That was the build-up, yada, yada, yada. And they were like, oh, can the Niners, this Cali team come into the snow? And everyone was like, Kaepernick's from Wisconsin. Like, he wanted to be the Packers quarterback growing up.
And that was
it was like the reverse game. Each quarterback was playing their dream team on their franchise team, and it was one of those things like Kaepernick has dreamt about this game in Lambeau. Like this is literally he's meant like what he's always put himself in, and it's weird because you don't really see that in football as much as you see it in like basketball where kids from Chicago or the Midwest. So I don't know, man.
But no, that's
I don't think it's so much the little town, the big city thing. I think it's the little town big agent thing and getting these kids really hyped up will come draft time and getting them a payday. No hate in my heart, man. Good for you kids getting paid.
But honest to God, Zach Wilson probably would have fared better in Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence would probably fare better in New York. Why? Because Trevor Lawrence played at a big time school with big time expectations, had championship. You know what I mean? Like those things matter when you're playing at BYU and you're facing Montana State. Like that's like that. Those things matter. Now you're putting him in the New York where all the attention like that stuff matters. That stuff is shoot like that stuff does matter. You got to think about the psyche of what these kids are going through when they're playing and stuff like that. And not to mention you're playing for a bad team. It's not like you're on a good team that just had it's not like you're in an Andrew Luck situation where the Colts were a good team. They just had a shit ton of injuries. No, the Jets are perennially a bottom three team. The Jaguars have been a bottom three team. So that takes into account all that stuff too. That stuff matters. It matters.
And it also matters where the college is. They're in Utah. It's not a Montana school.
Right.
You're in Utah. I don't know why you got Montana on your sites after your Steeler rant, but you're like,
I forget Utah's a state. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm not. I could care less where they're from. My point is, it's at that corner of the map that us East Coast kids always failed on the test because we don't remember which one is where.
Goddamn East Coast elites. Tell them where they can find you, bro.
East Coast, the best coast. I'm sorry. Well, you can find me at Never For Brett Me NEVA_4BRETT_ME on Instagram and Twitter.
And I'm at Not the Chuck D on all the socials. We're at _dope blog on Instagram, at the dope blog, all one word on Twitter, www.thedope.blog. And share this shit. We're on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and
if you're on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, and join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence. I'm back. Let me take the helmet off. Hold on. Let me take the helmet off. Get the 15-yard penalty. I'm back. Superman. Yeah, Cam is back. I'm so excited.
Taking the job from another XFL quarterback that actually should be starting for the Panthers.
Well, he sucks, so it's okay.